Hi, welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today we'll be covering the ASUS Eee PC. I'm not really sure how to pronounce Eee PC. It might be E, it might be EEE, or it might be triple E, but either way, today we're going to be learning how to install Windows XP on this amazing little notebook. Now, the first thing that's exceptional about the Eee PC is its size. It is the smallest notebook in this kind of price range that the world has ever seen. To get a really clear idea, you can't just look at pictures. It's necessary to compare it against something. So for comparison, this is the DVD drive that we will be using to install Windows XP on the Eee PC. You can see it's about the same size this way, and it's actually about twice as thick. So that should give you some idea what kind of size you're looking at with the Eee PC. The Eee PC comes preloaded with a Linux operating system. It takes about 30 seconds to boot up and includes most of your basic functions. So you've got your email, you've got internet, which is powered by Firefox, you've got Google, you've got Messenger, Skype. Most of your basic stuff is on here. Many versions of the Eee PC include a webcam for Skype, and they all have wireless internet, which is great if you are a road warrior, because this thing weighs, as we were showing you before, it weighs less than that optical drive. So, as much as we like the Linux operating system on here, if you want something more familiar, you can install Windows XP on the Eee PC. It is supported by ASUS and is actually very simple. So the first step is to take your Eee PC, put it down, and we're going to connect that external DVD drive to the Eee PC using USB. So the first step in installing Windows XP on the Eee PC is to turn it on and press F2 to enter setup. So then you're going to actually, cameraman, if I could get you to scroll in right on the screen here, all the way in. Yep. So you're going to tab over to the boot menu, and you're going to go to boot device priority and change the, in our case, it's the Samsung external DVD drive, and we're going to change that to the highest boot priority. So we've gone ahead and moved it up to the very top. And then the hard drive will be our second boot device. And it's not cooperating with me very well, so we're going to do it manually like this. There we go. So you can see the CD drive is our first boot device, then the hard drive, then removable devices. Now we can go ahead and press F10 to save the changes, then enter. And now we're going to boot to our CD drive. So now that we've got the boot device set to our DVD drive here, the next thing we're going to need is a copy of Windows XP, which I have right here. And we're going to be using Windows XP Media Center Edition, along with a CD key that I keep in my sticker album right here. I'm not going to put that close enough for you guys to read it, but it's right there. So we'll go ahead and put Disk 1 of Media Center Edition into my drive. And now we're ready to boot the triple E or Eee PC back up. So as you can see here, the Eee PC is at the Windows XP setup screen. So we're just going to press Enter to continue. We're going to assume that for the most part, our viewers know how to install Windows XP. So I'm just going to go through the menus here. Now, here's the important part, cameraman, if I could get you to zoom in on the screen again. The partition setup. You want to delete all of the existing partitions in order to install XP on your Eee PC. So in order to delete a partition, you can see at the bottom of the screen, press D to delete a partition, then L, and then it's gone. So you go through all of them, DL, DL, DL. Now you can see that it is an entirely unpartitioned space of 3.8 gigs. So that's a 4 gig disk on this Eee PC. So we're going to press Enter to install, and then we're going to format it using the NTFS file system quick format. And now it's formatting and ready to install Windows. So now that we've finished loading all the files off the CD, you can see that we're rebooting the computer. It'll come up with the prompt to press any key to boot from CD. You want to just ignore it this time, because it's going to load into the Windows XP setup wizard. As you can see, Windows XP is proceeding in the same fashion as it would on a desktop PC. So now Windows installation has finished, and as you can see, this error that's popped up is a low disk space notification. So that is one of the limitations of the ASUS Eee, and we're going to talk about one really good way to get around that. So now to remedy our lack of storage situation, we've got a Patriot SDHC. The HC stands for high capacity, which the Eee does support. So we'll be using this card, which we've already extracted from the dangerous packaging here with an X-Acto knife. The installation procedure is actually very simple. You take the card, you put the label side up, you put it in the side of the Eee until it clicks. And you can see actually one kind of nifty thing about the Eee is that it sits flush, so it's not going to come out like on a lot of laptops, actually. It's kind of designed with this in mind. Very clever of them. So now you can head on into my computer and check out all that extra storage space you now have. Removable disk, volume E properties, and we've got our 7.63 gigs of storage space now for your MP3s or videos or whatever else the case may be. So now that we've upgraded the storage space of our Eee PC, we are going to be upgrading from the 512 megs of memory that comes included to a 2 gig Corsair Value Select SODIMM memory stick. So the first thing we want to do before we bring out our nifty orange screwdriver is unplug the power, remove the battery from the Eee PC. The last thing you want is for power to be live in the machine while you are fiddling around with its insides. And then we're going to need to remove the screws right here and right here on the memory slot cover. So if I could get the cameraman to zoom in right about there, that would be fantastic. Make sure you don't lose these screws, they're very hard to replace. Also, this warranty void if sealed, broken, or removed sticker, ASUS has instructed us that there's no need to worry about that. They will be honoring the warranty on your Eee PC as long as all you've done is upgraded the memory module, which is allowed. So there we have it. We've removed the case, and you can see the existing 512 meg module inside the Eee PC. So the procedure for removing the stock memory from the Eee PC is actually fairly simple. These little metal clips on the sides need to be released at the same time on either side. So 2 hands is going to be a must for this one. So we've released the memory module as best we can here. Bear with me. And then it should snap out like that, being careful to handle it by the edges. Just go ahead and remove that from the Eee PC. So there's a very big contrast between the stock module made by SIS and the Corsair replacement module. You can see that there are twice as many RAM chips on the memory stick itself. So we're just going to discard this one, bring the Corsair one back. All you really do is slip it into the slot where it goes, just like that. And then you just push on the memory stick, and you should see it clip into place with those little metal latches on the sides. And there you go, you've upgraded the memory of your Eee PC. All right, so now that the upgrade's done, we'll just be replacing the cover on our Eee PC and then putting the screws back in. The first screw has been replaced, and now the second one is in progress here. There we go. So now the battery goes back in, being sure to lock it in place. I don't know if I had actually mentioned that I was undoing the locks for the battery as we were taking it out, but this one latches back into place to cover the little red dot that means it's locked. So there you go. And now we are ready to turn our Eee PC with its upgraded storage space and upgraded memory back on and boot into Windows. So now we've booted back into Windows, and you can see that Windows XP recognizes all 2 gigs of memory here, and that our upgrade was successful. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm Linus Sebastian. Thank you for watching NCIX Tech Tips.